Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Experience Insiders, a series where we speak with the executives and practitioners shaping the future of brand and customer experience. I'm Alicia Esposito, VP of Content at Retail Touchpoints, and it's been a while since we've gone live, but we are back in full force, and I am excited to sit down today with Heidi Zak, co-founder and CEO of ThirdLove. Heidi, so good to speak with you. Thanks for joining us on the show today.
Great to see you again.
Yeah, I know it's been about a year, and I know a lot has been going on with the ThirdLove brand, so very excited to dig into that today. Obviously, ThirdLove has become known and loved by consumers as a brand dedicated to creating intimate apparel that is comfortable yet fashionable. But you've recently evolved the brand. Why did you think that this was needed and that the time was right to do it?
Yeah. So when we started ThirdLove back in 2013, D2C didn't even exist. Direct to consumer wasn't a term, and inclusivity certainly was not the norm across all industries, let alone intimate apparel, where you basically had Victoria's Secret and some of the larger players doing what they had done, for 20 to 30 years. And so as we set our brand tone and identity and pillars in the early days, we were very, very differentiated from the big players. And then over the past, call it 7 years, the world's really changed. I mean, I don't think you can be a brand today and not be inclusive. That's table stakes. And I think what we really saw in the marketplace specifically was that all the brands were starting to kind of look the same. So just a lot of kind of that, the lineup of different body shapes, the different shades of neutral, what I would call the millennial pink. It became very, very commonplace across a lot of brands. And to the point where we had to really take a look at the ThirdLove brand and post our things up on the wall and say, if we look at ourselves amongst the competition, are we standing out? And the answer is no. Because everyone really started to look the same. And so this was an opportune moment for us to take a different stance as a brand, but also because we've become a lifestyle brand and we launched all these new categories. So it also makes sense. It made sense from a category perspective to change it up as well. So that was really why it was the right moment. It was the right moment.
Yeah, definitely a very interesting combination of factors, both within the ThirdLove business as well as external, not just in your particular category or even DTC, but I would say in retail as a whole, right? Some of the issues that you brought up around inclusivity have become very much industry wide. And we may get into that, I think, a little bit deeper in a second. But I want to get into the process a little bit because, like you said, the brand evolution encompasses a new verbal identity, visual system, art direction. I know as a content person that this is a lot of work. This takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of love. So where did you start in this process and how did it all kind of shake out from a tactical perspective?
Yeah, so we partnered with an agency. I think it's really important as a brand to know when you're going to use your internal teams and when you're going to use external teams for help. And in particular, I think when it comes to rebranding, it generally makes sense to use an outside agency because they're coming in it with a perspective. They're not in it, but they know what's going on outside in the world. And so we partnered actually with the same agency that did our original branding in 2016. So 5 years later, we had them come back in, relook at the landscape. And what made it really nice about that was they already knew our brand and they knew us well. And of course, the world was different. So it was really about thinking through who we are at ThirdLove and what we represent and how that comes through in a different way. So specifically, colors was one piece. Our brand pillars basically remained, though we became slightly different in how we express them, but still this focus on uncomfortable is unacceptable is one of our new taglines. So still really focusing on comfort and fit, but in a stronger way, I'd say. And same thing with the copy. You see that it's tighter, it's funnier, it kind of pushes the boundaries more than it did before. And then all of our colors are just brighter. So you see purple and red and lots of pops of vibrant colors. So yeah, a lot of things coming together. Plus, the art direction, as you alluded to, which first came forth when we launched our active line. So the first sort of real photo shoot you see with all of the new art direction was with our active line, which launched about a month ago now. So yeah, it took, it takes a good 6 months to create that. And then it takes another good 6 months to fully roll out every asset across a system, to your point, because there's so much content that you can't do everything all at once, from email to site to all these things. It takes time. So it's not just like you snap your fingers and all of a sudden it's done. It definitely does evolve.
Yeah. No, it's great that you had a relationship with an agency that already had such strong ties to your brand and already had a vested interest in bringing the brand to the next level. So, as, the collective team, the agency and Third Love together or separately, kind of went about shaping the brand. I mean, what consumer or trend insights played the most critical roles in figuring out like where you wanted to go with the brand? So you shared a little bit in your first response, like what was kind of happening at the consumer standpoint, at the industry level. Were there any particular ones that you were like, okay, these are the ones that, hold the most weight or are the most critical for our business moving forward? So that was how you were going to focus or hone the brand. I mean, I'm curious, how you kind of use that to inform your approach.
That's a great question. I think it's, again, both the internal and the external coming together. So by internal, I mean, what do our consumers say ThirdLove's means to them? What are the words they use that describe the ThirdLove brand, right? And then it's also, how is the ThirdLove brand different from others in this space? And that's what I would call external. So I feel like those two things, again, come together. So when you ask customers, why they love ThirdLove, a lot of times they'll use the word comfort, they'll use the word fit. And so again, going back to kind of those core pillars. And then if you think about how ThirdLove is different from other brands in the space, well, we have many, many more sizes than other brands still. We're the only brand, I still think, in the world that offers half cups. So we can really hang our hat on this idea of fit and comfort in a way that other brands can say, but maybe don't have the proof points. And so those were some of the driving forces behind that. And then the other thing is that we're trusted. So we kept hearing this from our customers, meaning they know if they're going to buy something with us, it's going to be high quality, it's going to be comfortable, but it's, to your point, you introduced us this way, it's going to be stylish, it's on trend. So they know that they're going to get something great for the moment. And there's a trust factor that we've built with our customers. So a lot of how the branding evolved was, how can that come through vividly to potentially new customers? How do you get across trust? I mean, one way is reviews. We have hundreds of thousands of 5-star reviews. How does that become something higher level for a brand that we talk about more? And there were other aspects of that, but a lot of it was really around that, what customers say, and then how we prove that actually in the market.
Oh, that's great. So how do you take these pillars and kind of transform them into verbal messaging or a verbal mission statement? Then how does that ultimately transcend into visuals and art? Like I know personally, just from going through the process, again, it's very iterative. You have to kind of have that foundation, which I'm so glad you go through that pillar messaging process. But I mean, let's define the brand verbally, like what it kind of stands for now, and then how you go from like the verbal to the more visual and I guess more tactile even stages of the brand process.
Yeah, I mean, I think the verbal, I would say, is, I find to be some of the most challenging, because it's like less is more. So how do you say things in really tight ways that represent levity or are funny or relevant? And there's no secret way for me to describe that other than having really great copywriters who really understand what they're trying to get across. And again, it's always like less is more. So you want something catchy, pithy that represents who you are, but is just short and sweet, generally on average. And that just takes time. And then as you think about the visual identity, for us, it was really about showing women in an aspirational way, but that's more real. So we've always used real women. Okay. So we've used realistic models or even real women in our photo shoots. This is slightly different. It's an environment that's very real. So what you'll see even in our active photo shoot is it was shot, outside at a stadium, inside at a gym. And we have more and more of our photography coming through in a place that looks like it could be my house or your house, right? It feels very real. So part of that was, how do we take this aspirational brand and tie it to real places and moments that women experience? And so I think that's a piece that's very different than the prior branding, which maybe was a bit more, if I want to say polished to some extent, but polished may be the wrong word.
No, I think that makes perfect sense. And I know, from our past conversations, ThirdLove has always been a brand that shows not just through its marketing and content, but through its, actions and its initiatives that you stand for female empowerment, for inclusivity. And I'm glad you kind of brought up this contextual approach to, your content and, your photography, because it shows that this isn't staged, right? This is something that you can, use every day if it's in with your life. It's not something that you have to conform to, right? Like there's that saying that like, the clothes should fit you. You shouldn't have to confine yourself to fit the clothes, right? So I think that ties together very nicely. But otherwise, I mean, how do you try to keep that mission or the values of standing for female empowerment, for inclusivity? How do you consistently connect the dots there? Because I know that's something that a lot of consumers, not just industry folk like us, are paying closer attention to, right? Like that you're not just checking the brand box or the marketing box, that you're actually showing constantly through your actions.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think it's the little things and the bigger things. I mean, I think it's, for example, we did a model search for our next model coming from the ThirdLove community on Instagram in partnership with Nigel Barker. And I was actually down in LA last week, and she was getting shot on a set, and I got to meet her and chat with her. And that's a use of actually a woman who's part of our ThirdLove community, who was sourced through our social media platform and who won this competition that we flew out from Chicago to participate in our shoot. So I think part of it is really that encompassing moments where you're thinking about how you can leverage your community to, even whether that is through UGC, whether that's through something like we're doing where they're actually part of a shoot, but how are you bringing your community along for the journey and actually communicating what you're doing? Because we all know, like at ThirdLove, we know what we do every day, but it's harder for our community to actually know what we're doing every day. And so I think part of it is what you do every day, which is storytelling. Like, how do you tell the stories? How do those come through? How are you able to communicate that to your customer base?
Oh, that's great. And I know you have the TL effect as well, which I think last time we spoke, we kind of got into a little bit. So I'm sure you have a lot of updates around, what's happening there. But for the folks who did not see that conversation, why don't you share a high level about, that initiative, whether it was something that, it was something that your customers wanted, if it was something that you felt like the brand represented. I mean, how does that alignment take place too? Because I feel like you guys always think, a step ahead, or like, how can we do more, or how can we deliver more, through our brand?
Yeah, I mean, the TL effect has been a learning for us for sure. I mean, we launched it in June of 2020. And I'm so excited to see what's come from the program. So we've had 2 cohort winners. We're in the process of interviewing and selecting the third. And the winners, our first winner, Era Sims, and our second winner, Tiffany Griffin, the 2 of them and their businesses have grown tremendously, over the past year and a half within the program. Certainly not just due to being a TL Effect winner, but, because they're so dedicated to their mission. But it's been really great to see how we've been able to mentor them, how they've used their grant money for either marketing or even literally expanding their factories and scaling up their supply chain. And so that, again, the connection back to our community and us being able to feature them and tell those stories and have them participate, again, both internally and externally, because it's really important that our Third Love team also sees what we're doing and can see the growth. And so these women will attend our all hands occasionally, give us an update on their business, talk about what mentorship they're receiving from internal teams, and then same thing externally. They're talking about the program, talking about their business, and again, telling the story through their own lens. And so it's been a pretty powerful program that I would say has exceeded my expectations. And I'm really excited to see where we can go with more and more winners. They are also become judges. So the prior winner is part of the judging panel for the next. So Tiffany's now on, the committee that's helping choose the third cohort winner. So it's a nice evolution. And we'll see where it goes. But yeah, definitely continuing to continue the program into the future.
That's really exciting. And so it's not just, adding another layer to the Third Love brand and how you contribute to society, but in a way, it's expanding your community, right? It's creating those new opportunities for your team to, support up and coming businesses, but also for your consumers as well. I know I've had a lot of conversations with, folks that are in this space of charitable giving, whether it be sustainability or social good. And the consensus is, sometimes consumers want to contribute, they want to help, they want to create positive change, but sometimes they don't really know how or like how to find those opportunities. So in a way, you're creating that, which creates that stronger sense of community and that stronger sense of loyalty. So really fascinating to see how it's evolved. Congratulations on seeing it reach that next level.
Yeah, I think what you said is interesting. It's almost like we do so much at Third Love for the broader community. And sometimes, because we don't necessarily amplify that message enough, it's almost like you need to lean into it. But some companies lead with that as their number one message, right? If you think about a Tom's or different brands like that, where the core of what they say is their message. And so at Third Love, it's been interesting because we're the largest donor of bras and products in the country. We just crossed $50 million worth of product that's been donated since we started, right? But it's not front and center on our homepage. And so just even chatting with you today, I'm like, we could do more because we do a lot. And many of our customers know that about us, but not everyone. And I think part of it is understanding that. So, when you're buying from a brand that you're participating in trying to make the world a better place. And I think that's very important for all of us as consumers to understand what the brands that we buy from are doing in the world to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, how are they supporting their actual customers in new ways? And that, of course, leads to brand growth and product expansion. Like I know you recently expanded into activewear, and you've embraced new materials, new styles, new colors, as you mentioned earlier. I'm curious, where did this fall in context of the rebrand? Like, did you as a team know that you wanted to go into these categories and then you said, okay, like I think our brand needs to evolve as a result of this? Or I guess what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Or how do they inform each other?
Actually, I would say product development happened before the brand, but obviously it does build nicely together because product development takes so long. Our sports bra, our kinetic sports bra, which has been the top seller and is an amazing, amazing product. It was 2 years in development, from the time we started till when we got it in, actually probably a little longer given all the delays in the supply chain. But yeah. So if you think about the brand and what we stand for, sports was a natural expansion for us. And again, it was both internal and external. This is like, I guess, everything today that we're talking about. So internal, we knew from our search bar that sports, active, sports bras, leggings, all those things were the number one search term on our site. So our customer was actively looking for sports and activewear from us. So there was a lot of qualitative and quantitative customer feedback that let us know that this was a great market for us to enter. And then second, externally, as I think about the active market, and I've used this analogy before, if I say sports bras, like what brand do you think of? And it's hard. It's not necessarily like a brand springs to mind. I don't know that you would say, Lululemon, you think leggings, right? Other brands that out there are in sports, but it's not like the sports bra is the center of what they do. And for us, the sports bra is the center of active for us. It's how do we create the best sports bra out there for women's needs. Again, that obsession on fit and quality and listening to our customers was hugely important. And then over the past year and a half during the pandemic, we added sleep, lounge. We expanded wireless bras from 1 to over 30 styles, doubled our underwear collection. And so our breadth of assortment has grown tremendously. So we went from this bra brand, and I might have even said bra and underwear brand, but let's be clear, we were still really known as a bra company. And the evolution is to a lifestyle brand. So what does that mean? And this is what's really cool about the new branding. If you think about the 24/7 bra, it's the bra that started it all. It's our hero product. And we used to say, we called it the 24/7 bra because you could wear it 24/7, right? You could wear it morning, noon, evening, and it worked no matter what practically you were doing. The evolution of ThirdLove as a brand is we're a brand for 24/7. So if you think about a woman and see these different moments of her life, how does our products play into that? And how does that brand layer on top of it? So from the morning, maybe getting up, working out, right? We have something for you. Depending on where you're going, what you're doing during the day, we're going to have a bra that's perfect, whether that is a, strapless bra or a wireless or your normal underwire. And then if you have date night or an activity, we have something for you. And then we have lounge and sleep when you come home and you're unwinding at the end of your day. So we've evolved from sort of the bra that you put on every morning to the brand that's there for you at these different moments. That's really that layer to what you're wearing. And so the evolution of our product expansion actually fits in totally well with the evolution of the brand. And it happened to be that they kind of came together at the same time.
Love that. Serendipitous, really.
Yeah.
It's great. So, to close out, Heidi, you spoke earlier about how this is a process, right? Like you develop the brand, you start to roll it out, and then over time you iterate, maybe tweak things, test things. But looking at the future, what are you prioritizing? You collectively as a brand, or you specifically as CEO, what are you prioritizing as you're bringing this new brand to market? What are you looking for or thinking about as you start to apply this new brand to your customer experiences, to your brand marketing? Are there any final things that you're looking forward to close things out?
Yeah, I think as we approach 2022, it's really about our hero products and building sort of higher level brand campaigns and partnerships around them. So you could imagine now that we have a hero sports bra product, this kinetic bra that I was talking about, right? That's a cup band sports bra, which is highly unusual. You could think about the kind of partnerships we may do are very different than what we might have done in the past. And so same thing if you think about sleep or even about wireless, it opens up a different lens for us to look through brand building cohesively across products and then more narrowly into these hero products. So I'm really excited for some of the initiatives that we have. You'll see them next year. Maybe I can come back and we can talk through them midway through next year as they all become live. But yeah, so there'll be some more very interesting, I would say, partnerships and campaigns coming that support sort of our evolution into this lifestyle brand.
Love it. It's very exciting. And I'm going to take you up on that offer. I'm going to be checking in 6 months from now or so we can get back on the line and go through some tangible examples and some updates. But for now, Heidi, thank you so much for taking the time. It was really fascinating to hear the process, the priorities, and how you're bringing the new brand to life.
Well, great to see you, Alicia. I appreciate it.
And to all of you, thank you so much for taking the time to join us for Experience Insiders. If you have any comments or questions for Heidi, I know we're sharing this across social media, so drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you and, of course, have those follow-up conversations. But for now, thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Take care.